Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Y'all, it's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Dominiece, and I help those with endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome reduce chronic pain, eliminate stress, and minimize irregular or heavy periods. Y'all, today I got Dominiece in the live studio to share her journey of strength with endometriosis. And if it's your first time tuning in, it's that time to vibe with me, y'all. Welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. So that's how y'all do it from the south side of Chicago. Just a little slight jig. I see.
Yeah.
I got you, y'all. Today, we are honored to have Dominiece Cooley with us, a resilient and inspiring woman who has taken her health into her own hands after years of struggling with severe menstrual pain, y'all, endometriosis and fibroids. So from enduring debilitating symptoms that started in middle school to navigating the healthcare system, surgeries, and ultimately discovering the healing power of diet and lifestyle changes. Y'all, Dominiece's journey is a testament to the power of self-advocacy and empowerment. And you'll know I'm all about empowering people to be advocates for their healing. So y'all, today we will share her story of overcoming challenges, finding relief, and taking control of her health. Welcome to the Empowered Plates Empowered Live studio, Dominiece.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How you vibing today?
I'm feeling great.
No, sounds good. So, like, we just talked about it. Severe menstrual pain since a young age, middle school. I teach middle school students for the past few years, and it's just raise your hand if you know have painful cramps and bad periods, and hands are raised, and people don't even realize that that's not normal. They think because that's normally what they experience, that's their norm, that it's okay, and it's not. Can you share like when you first realized that your periods weren't normal? And how did that like realization shape your approach to managing your own health?
I think I realized it before my period even started because at least a month before my period actually started, I started experiencing the cramping. And
Mm.
then before, I'd say maybe 2 weeks before, I spent the entire day at school throwing up. Almost threw up on my teacher trying to ask for permission to go to the bathroom the whole day. And my mom wouldn't come pick me up because she thought I was faking.
Are you serious? Well, what
Yes.
did the nurse say? Did you have a school nurse?
They didn't send me to the nurse. They called my mom. She wouldn't come get me. I just went through school.
Yeah. So, what would you tell kids today? Feeling how you were feeling in school, throwing up, going to the bathroom, not knowing what is happening, and your mom's not coming to pick you up. What would you tell them, knowing what you know now about your own menstrual health?
Find somebody else that'll listen. Find anybody that'll listen to the fact that you're not feeling well. And they see you throwing up, find somebody that will listen.
I love that. Straight out the gate, Dominique. That's what I'm talking about. Find somebody that will listen. And that might take a lot of somebodies.
Yes.
So just don't stop. Just don't stop until you get to that person that will actually listen. So you talked about the excruciating pain, the heavy periods from the absolute start, before your period even started to come a month before, throwing up. How did these early symptoms kind of affect your daily life, and what were the initial steps that your family took, possibly if they did, to actually help you seek help?
The cramping usually just affected my sleep because it always hit at night. And for some reason, it made my legs hurt too.
Mm,
So, and my family didn't do anything about it. they they didn't listen.
I got you. And when you talk about like your family too, I know you were saying like you have a large family,
Yes.
and for a period of time you had to take care of this large family. How did, and you can kind of explain how big this family was. What did that role look like for you, to take care of this large family of siblings? And then what did it look like for you having to navigate endometriosis, while taking care of this large family?
Well, so I have an older sister, Tanisha, and then it's me, and then it's all of our younger siblings. I have it's 14 in total, 14 of us in total. Um, and I started taking care of my siblings when I was in third grade when we adopted my baby brother. Um, and I'd say trying to navigate taking care of them and having this, they actually kind of made it easier. It's amazing how my parents weren't attentive at all, but my siblings, my little sister will show up with a little dime bag of ibuprofen because she'd be like, I know you be in pain, here you go. Just randomly bringing me stuff. If I'm in too much pain to cook, they'll listen to me and just do what I say do and navigate the kitchen. They helped more than my parents did.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Like, so this is the first time that I've actually heard siblings being supportive and really kind of filling in that gap until getting the help and really understanding what's really going on in your life and for you. So third grade, you were already taking care, of siblings and having this responsibility, but at the same time, you had just enough strength to be able to tell them when you couldn't do it yourself what to do to make sure things are still going, and then they're in turn turning around and showing you love and helping take care of you
Yeah.
as well. And I love that. I love that. So when did you kind of start figuring out like what was really going on for you? I think it was like 2015, 2016. You had your
Um,
first surgery, but how'd you even get into the healthcare system where someone would actually listen to you to start even figuring out what it really was?
so in high school, I was very overweight.
Mm,
And now that I know it's probably due to the endometriosis, I was very overweight. And I went on a diet. I always get the letters mixed up. It's either the HCG or HGC, whatever that pregnancy hormone is, that diet. I went on that diet and they ran a whole bunch of tests before we started it. And they told me that I made too much estrogen. I had too much estrogen in my system. And for some reason that thing just stuck with me. So after I graduated, it was this one day where this pain hit me so bad. I don't know if you've ever heard of that show. I didn't know I was pregnant, but I thought I was about to be on that show. I was like, this got to be labor. It has to be. Like, it can't be anything else. And I was just throwing up. I spiked a fever. I barely could walk. I was like, I'm
mm.
about to call the ambulance. And then after that, I just started looking stuff up, and I was just looking up uterus pain, excess estrogen, and I landed on endometriosis. Um, when I finally did get my mother to listen, she referred me to use her OB. So I went to her OB, Dr. Tamika C, and she listened the first time around. At first we tried birth control,
Mhm.
and that was instant suicidal thoughts. No. That only lasted a month. And then we went to doing the vaginal ultrasound and everything, trying to see if there was anything else going on before we went into doing the laparoscopic surgery to find the endometriosis.
That's interesting. Like I think that's the first time I heard someone said, they always say birth control. That's always, for some reason, to me, that's always like the first thing. So I don't know if they're taught something medically that, birth control is the way to go. I know I was told that birth control would help me with the pain during my periods, but I didn't always have painful periods. And it was only a few debilitating times that left me on the floor balled up or can't get comfortable in the bed with just pain that just won't get out of you. You can't shake it. It wasn't an every month occurrence or every day, because we know some endometriosis people who have endometriosis that have it all the time, not just when their period comes on, that debilitating chronic pain. And I was just like, nah, I don't want the birth control. Like, it's not going to treat anything. You're just thinking it's going to help me not have as much pain, and the pain isn't regular. The bowel movement pain every period was real, but I didn't even associate that to endometriosis. I was just thinking it was cramps that was flowing back there. And so that was like a big thing for me. And I was just like, the more I researched, once they said it was stage 4 endometriosis and I had the laparoscopic, I was like, all these other symptoms started to make sense. The onset of nausea, like just wanting to throw up or feeling like you got to throw up, and you thinking, did I eat something? Is something wrong? Like, in my state, what's happening here? But I'm glad that you started navigating it. I'm glad that you said, you know what, I'm experiencing suicidal thoughts. This birth control is not for me. I'm done with it. Especially since it's the first thing that they gave you to try, and you've been in pain and confusion of what's going on in your body since the third grade. And now you done graduate high school. This is years, like years on top of years. And I'm
Mhm.
just proud of you for having that power to say this ain't it. And so after after you said nah to the birth control, what did it look like after that to be able to really diagnose the endometriosis, and what did that pain look like? Did you do anything besides the dime bag of ibuprofen? To, like, were they giving you anything else for the pain?
No, for quite a while they were worried about my ibuprofen, and she actually banned me from using aspirin because at
Oh,
first I was taking goody powders all day, every day, and
and
she
was it
said
doing anything?
it was helping my pain, but she said that I was probably messing up the lining of my stomach in the process. So
Mm.
she told me I can't take that anymore. And plus, I was already anemic, and that's basically a blood thinner. So she said I need to stop. So it was just ibuprofen for quite a while. And when the pain kicks in now, it's still some ibuprofen.
Well, I'm glad that you told us about what could cause so much damage in the goody powder and the consistent chronic use of it, because
Yeah.
some people probably don't know that all they're looking for is relief from the pain, and that's all you were doing. You were just looking for relief from the pain so you can do regular day to day tasks. And I know that's like a typical struggle for people, is just finding that type of relief. When did you find that first sense of relief? Like, when did you finally say, whew, this is what it feels like to not be in pain? Like, when was
After
that
that
first?
first surgery, the pain from the surgery felt better than the pain from the endometriosis. I woke up in relief. Like I might not be able to, walk that much right now, but this felt good.
And it is like you, and sometimes people have that misconception that as soon as they go into, laparoscopic, and they're going in to see what was happening, they say, okay, yeah, this is endometriosis. We see all the scar tissue. Let's clean it up off of all of the organs. And like, I had
Mhm.
fallopian tubes stuck together, cyst over here. It was all on my bladder, my bowels, my appendix. Like, it's all over the place. And you have no idea where all of
Mhm.
these chocolate cysts and scar tissues are even, forming inside of your body, that's causing some of the pain. And then you get out of it and it's like, ooh, this hurts. Did I
A
do the right
man,
thing? And then, like, over time,
a
you
man that I
start
was speaking
to
to
do
about it before, he described it as a spider web of live flesh.
it.
Right.
Mm.
And it's just moving with your organs, and it has all those same nerve endings that live flesh has. So every time it's moving, it's hurting.
I like that visual. And I saw it all in there. That was a clear visual. Go ahead, man.
Mhm.
That's a good way of
He said he said that his mother and his sister dealt with it.
And you
Mhm.
know what I like about that, Dominique, is the fact that another man is articulating and explaining what other people that he loved and cared about was going through. And I feel like we need more of the advocates, more people who understand what we're going through, more people that actually love you, and care about you, helping you spread the information, the awareness, and the experience of what it is to go through what we're going through, because so many people don't know. They don't even realize that that pain could be endometriosis. It could be issues with fibroids. And a lot of times they don't know until they go in to find out. So you can't just walk around and be like, yeah, you look like you got endometriosis. Like, you
And
can't look like this thing,
that's the worst part of it, because everybody expects you to just function because you don't look sick.
So after you had that diet, because it's like an invisible illness, that's what they kind of call
Mhm.
it, like an invisible illness. After you had that first surgery and you started feeling good, what happened after that first surgery? Did you change anything, or were you was like, oh, I feel good, I'm out here, let me go thrive? Like, what did it look like for you?
It lasted about, she told me that it would last 2 to 4 years. And on that 2 year mark, I needed another surgery. And
Mm.
she told me that she didn't want to do, after the second surgery, she didn't want to do another surgery again. But before I had went in for that surgery, I had started looking up going vegan and how, the food can affect the hormones and all of that. And I started going vegan, and it gave a little relief. And then when I went in before I went in for my appointment before we scheduled my surgery, and I asked her about it, she was like, "Oh yeah, changing your diet would be a great help." Oh, that would have been that'd have been nice information the first surgery.
2 years ago, this would have been nice when I was really on a high, feeling great,
Yeah.
motivated by not being in pain. I could have gone ahead and started making these adjustments.
Yeah.
Um, I like that. I'm glad that I'm glad that you were able to
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad that you were able to actually be able to like navigate through that and find more research for yourself. And I think a lot of times people leave their health status and health issues in the hands of other people, not
Mhm.
realizing there's so much more they can do to learn, and then apply it to their body and learn their body and get a better understanding and awareness of what's actually happening inside of them, around them, and what they can do to kind of like shift, their life in a whole nother direction that they absolutely deserve to feel that shift. So when you're talking about like the plant-based lifestyle, like what did that look like for you at the beginning? Like how did you transition into starting to eat differently?
Just slowly incorporating different meals. Like I started with vegan tacos made with oyster mushrooms, and I just started finding out just different alternatives.
Come on, just start with vegan tacos and oyster mushrooms. Like, how did you even know to go with the oyster mushrooms for the vegan tacos? Like,
Instagram.
there you go. That's what I'm saying. And I feel like because we're in this space, and I don't know how long ago you started eating the vegan tacos with oyster mushrooms. I don't know how many years ago, but I can tell that there's this shift that you're seeing more and more people transitioning into plant-based lifestyles. They're creating all of these dishes and food experiences that we're accustomed to, the taste, the texture, the flavors, the vibes of the foods that we traditionally eat, but just making alternatives to the ingredients that
Mm.
are more beneficial to you. And I think once people realize that there's still good food experiences in eating food that's good for you, it's not as hard of a shift that you would have to take, especially when you start feeling better and you're not depending on medication or goody powders just to get through the day. You know what I mean? Just to kind of get through the day.
Yes.
So I kind of want to say many people kind of feel powerless navigating the healthcare system. How did you advocate for yourself, especially when like traditional treatments weren't providing you with relief? Like I know you were telling me before, like pain medication and like what did that look like for you navigating the healthcare system and trying to find something that was going to address the symptoms that you were experiencing?
Oh, if I ended up at a hospital visit and I felt like I wasn't being listened to, I'm cussing you out. I'm going to make a scene.
Did that help you?
Yes. Yes.
And you hate that you have to get like that, right?
I, t- I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get the relief. Okay. It's no, you're not going to make me sit here and suffer. No.
I love that. I love it. Tell me,
uh,
you are not gonna make me sit here and
no.
suffer.
I can't. I cannot know the pain. That pain used to leave me crawling to the bathroom. And
Mhm.
you think I'm going to sit here and not be able to sleep because you don't want to just give me one pill to help me sleep? No. No, you're going to give it to me before I leave this place.
I got you. So first, you had to cut some people out when they didn't want to listen to you and take your pain serious. What else did you have to do to navigate the healthcare system?
Just researching for myself. Just
Mm,
researching for myself, because if you leave it in their hands, they're just going to prescribe you medication after medication after medication until something works. My own doctor, after the birth control, also wanted to try two other medications that would either stop my estrogen completely or bring it down to the bare minimum.
mhm.
And if it stopped my estrogen completely, it would send me into reversible menopause. No, no.
Did she tell you that it would cause you to go into reverse menopause, or did you have to like look that up to see, okay, this is what
Oh,
she wants me to do. Let me go
she
figure
told
out
me.
what this is.
Yeah, she
She
told me that it would basically send me into menopause, but it was reversible. And no, no. We're not gonna do that.
Gotcha. So, what did the pain medication help you get relief, or did it just allow you to just like go to sleep? Because I've heard some people say that, no matter how much pain medication they were prescribed or given, it just allowed them to go to sleep. And I guess when you go to sleep, you're not feeling the pain because you're not
Yeah.
conscious or awake. Like, what did that look like for you trying to get to that relief before you started eating the oyster mushroom
That
vegan type?
second surgery where my pain hit the worst that it's ever hit, the Percocets that they prescribed weren't working. They tried to
Mm,
prescribe me fives at first. I was doubling up on them, and they were just helping me go to sleep. And I ended up going back to my OB a week before my surgery in tears, just in
mm,
tears because the pains were so bad. So she prescribed me some 10 milligram Percocets, and she told me you have to make these last till before surgery, till the surgery, because if I give it to you again, your insurance gonna flag you, and I won't be able to prescribe you anything after surgery. I ended up running out before the surgery because I was with a man that was stealing my Percocets. But luckily, I hate to say luckily, but luckily, my mother was dealing with some gallbladder issues around the same time and had some pretty strong pain meds that would at least put me to sleep. So
mm,
those helped me last until the surgery date. But even after the surgery, when the like a couple years later, I say in 2020, when the pain started becoming a little bit more consistent, um, the Percocets made it worse.
mm,
The the Percocets caused the constipation, and the constipation made the pain a
mm,
thousand times worse.
mm.
Mm-mm.
And then now that's when we're getting back into like how pharmaceuticals, you take it for one reason and it causes all these other issues that
Mm.
mess up the natural body functions. And first of all, I hate that somebody got you on your stuff. Clearly, that wasn't a supportive partner.
Mm.
And knowing, like, I wouldn't even want to have to come back and see you in that type of pain. Why would I take something that's doing its best to try to relieve you of, what you're going through, what you're experiencing before you get real answers? So clearly, that's not the same type of supportive person, man, we were talking about earlier in regards who can articulate what that pain that endometriosis causes could look like for other women that he loves, or other people out there. So
Oh,
you
completely supportive. And I would say, if you're dealing with something like this, make sure you have a supportive partner, because dealing with a messed up partner while you already have something that can cause pain will make your pain worse. It will. I don't think people realize how much endometriosis is a hormonal thing. When I got angry, pain.
mm,
And even when I left that relationship and that house I was in and left all that stress and that energy, my pain was like almost non-existent when I moved. I was this the environment, really? Yeah. So
Y'all don't miss what Dominique just said. It was environment, it was relationship, it was holding on to stressful things and people and not being able to navigate through mental and emotional distress. Like, all of those things caused her to feel the pain that she was feeling. Like, every single thing that we have going on in life when it comes to like our mental, emotional, physical health, like how we care for ourselves, how we show up for ourselves, it plays a role in our health. It plays a role in how our body is receiving and being able to get through life. And so when you think that there's a medication for everything, it's not. Sometimes it's you needing to be what you prescribing what you need out of the life that you're living, and that's releasing yourself from some things, distancing yourself from some people, processing some things that are unhealthy and just wrong, and getting it out of you and not just storing it into your body because your body keeps score. And so I was actually going into that, Dominique. So I'm glad you talked about it. So what are some practical strategies that you've developed to manage pain and maintain your quality of life on a day-to-day basis? Because you sitting right here, I don't know how much pain you in, but you looking like you are able to have a better grip on life. You're not crawling on the floor in a fetal position in pain right now. What does that look like for some people? Help them, give them some tips.
diet change, lifestyle changed. I started working out. I lost over 100 pounds. I Make sure I get my water in every day. Fiber. Make sure you keep your stomach clear. When I tell you, having to have a bowel movement when you have endometriosis is one of the worst feelings in the world. And I don't care how much you. That's one thing. I don't care how much you change your diet or anything. If you still have those endometriosis patches in there, and you have to have a bowel movement, it's going to hurt. And keep your stomach clear. Make sure you're getting enough fiber. Stay away from a lot of fried foods and things that can cause all that inflammation in there. And make sure you reduce how much meat you eat, because this meat out here has so much hormones, and I barely eat dairy anymore. That's one thing I try to stay the furthest away from. I can't give up ranch and cheese just yet, but I try to stay as far away as I can.
I love that. And I appreciate you for telling us where you are in your journey and your way of adopting healthy habits and lifestyle changes and being realistic with it, because there are certain foods that it's hard for us to really break away from because of our relationships with foods, because we might not have found alternatives just quite yet that hit the way we wanted to hit when we're looking for a certain type of taste or a certain type of texture. So I love the fried food one. I love staying away from fried foods as much as you can. Fried foods just taste good. In our culture, we just know there's something about that batter, that skin, that seasoning that just hits different before you get to
That's
whatever's on the
that's the
inside.
thing. That's the thing that helped me. That's the thing that helped me with going vegan. Not seasoning meat will make you hate it. It's
Because that's
disgusting.
all you're going for is the seasoning.
It's
That is all you're
disgusting.
going for is the seasoning. That's it. Because the meat ain't gonna have no flavor. It
Uh-uh.
is not, because you say that was some dry chicken. I
Uh,
ain't taste nothing because it wasn't seasoned properly. It
And I don't
wasn't
think
cooked
people
well.
think about it like that, because you will pick up a vegetable, you'll pick up a fruit and bite right into it and be satisfied. But you will not pick up a piece of unseasoned meat and just bite into it and be
And
happy.
be okay with it.
You
And
know,
be okay with it. Just like me from the South, I would not sit there and drink a cup of sweet tea and then I didn't know it was unsweetened. Like, no, tea not supposed to be unsweet for me, the way I grew up. It's like it's just not the norm. But you hit
Mhm.
on that. It's the seasonings, it's the flavor that we're going for. And so when you start taking different herbs and spices and you put that on, different vegetables and different foods, whole foods, you kind of start having that same really good food experience that you thought you needed when you were eating the fried meat and other fried
And
things. But
you feel better. When I really was in my prime of being vegan, and I was just doing natural juices and almost just raw food, I had so much energy, and my food digested so much quicker. I was able to eat so much more in a day. And people don't realize you're not supposed to just have 3 meals a day. That's not the way your body is supposed to function. And
I
you're
like
not
that you
supposed to
said that.
poop just once a day.
That part, say that one, the poop. Yes. And then people be like, well, I don't want to be pooping. You should want to be cleaning out whatever you're putting into your body. You should want your body to have its natural detox process moving slowly. Get you a good 2 in if you can't get more than that. But it goes back to what you were saying in regards to getting in more fiber. When you're able to really be mindful of your gut and your gut health, because so many issues start in the gut that just go everywhere else. Get that fiber in. I honestly agree with you when you talk about like the painful bowel movements. With the endo bowel for me, if I don't have the high fiber, it is going to be a painful bowel movement, even if my period is not on. Now that I'm more aware of what's happening in my body, but getting in like the apples and the oats and just the fiber makes a difference. And I like that you said that. So high fiber foods, fruits, experiences are essential because it helps you get the stuff out of your gut and it helps you have a smooth move, and you deserve a smooth move because nobody want to be out in the bathroom detoxing in pain with a whole lot of other issues. You talked about losing 100 pounds. You kind of said that graciously and easily. 100 pounds is a lot to lose of dead weight and unnecessary baggage that your body was holding on to and carrying that you didn't need to carry along with you in this healthy state of life that you were gravitating yourself to. What did that movement look like for you to lose that 100 pounds?
I know in the end it felt relief everywhere. I used to be a G38.
Gee, so everybody that's a G, it's possible. It's possible to go down. That's
with
where we are right now.
with the weight loss, without surgery, without any type of surgery, is you're able to get them down.
Say that part. Without surgery, you're able to get them down. What did you do? What did that movement look like for you?
Um, that was the year I ended up having that second surgery for my endometriosis. Then I caught the flu or something, and then I caught a stomach infection called H. pylori, and that put me down for over a month. And
Mm,
after I got over the H. pylori caused a stomach ulcer. So I still wasn't able to eat
mm.
correctly. And then I caught COVID. And after COVID, I didn't have an appetite for months. So it was very easy to diet. And then through all of that, I just started working out. I'm like, I already work out through my endometriosis pain anyway. Might as well work out while I'm sick. So just started working out and the weight just fell off.
What exercises did you do? What was a part of your workout plan?
My main thing was cardio at first, but
Mhm.
the weights definitely help shape.
Okay, so cardio, were you walking, running, jogging,
On
treadmill,
on that
incline
treadmill. On the
on the
treadmill
treadmill?
and an elliptical. Treadmill, elliptical. Hmm.
Okay, treadmill, elliptical, and then you started getting into the weights, the
Uh,
tone, because
yeah.
you just lost 100 pounds. You want your body to feel good, tone up. I
Mhm.
like that. I like that. Okay. How often were you doing it? Were you doing it every single day?
As long as I wasn't feeling too sick, I went
You
to
was
the gym at
moving.
least once a day.
Oh, so,
And I
so
also
more than one day?
I took a personal training class with this guy in Atlanta, King of Fitness.
Mhm.
And his group was who he will work the hell out of you.
So it was life changing, I hear. It was
Uh-huh.
life
Yes.
changing. Your
Yeah.
body was doing things it never did before to get you to a place that you've never been before. And now you're excited about being where you are because you were able to go through the hard things, show up for yourself, and just do it. I
Yeah,
like that.
because before puberty hit, I was a little tomboy. Me and my sister used to be outside in the backyard climbing trees and all that. And then puberty hit.
Mhm.
I had double D titties in eighth grade. And I just got heavy out of nowhere. I'm just like, whoa.
Hormones, man. They didn't tell you all of this. This wasn't in
Not
the health books.
at all.
Already. Oh man. Well, I'm glad that you were able to get that. And then you talked about the importance of water. How because water wasn't always my thing. It's sometimes it's really hard for me to just get in, regular water, spring water, mineral water, alkaline water, just water when I grew up on Kool-Aid,
Mhm.
and sweet tea, high sugar drinks. What did it look like for you to transitioning into consuming a lot more water to keep you hydrated to help you?
I have a big presence of cancer in my family, so I try to kind of
Mm.
when I started going vegan, one of my main focuses was just staying away from sugar. So I started by switching to like sparkling water with no sugar in it, and those kept me going. And then I was just doing all natural juices, and then at first I started drinking a gallon of water a day until I realized that that actually was not healthy for you. So I just started increasing my fruit intake and maybe drinking maybe 3, 4 bottles of water a day, and making sure when I do drink some water, at least one of my waters, I sprinkle a little bit of natural sea salt into.
I like that. I like that. I hope y'all got that. So a little sea salt in your water, high water content fruit. That could be your watermelon, your cucumbers, like getting in your water from actual food sources. I think they call that H3O.
Mhm.
So that those two tips I definitely took out of that. And then you said your fruit juices. Did you make your own juice or did you buy
I
cold pressed juice?
I had a friend that around the time I had got sick, she had just started a business selling juices. So I was buying all of her juices.
So what was your favorite juice or juice or two? What were your top two favorite
It
combos?
was a green juice that she had, and it was another juice that she had that tastes like a Jolly Rancher that I used to freeze, and I used to eat it throughout the day like some ice cream.
That sounds really good. I wish you knew exactly what all was in that Jolly
Uh,
Rancher that you was just eating out the freezer, because that sounds like that can be my alternative to some Italian ice. Because I've never been a huge ice cream person, but I do like Italian ice. And so that sounds like that would be really good. But a good Jolly Rancher
Try
frozen.
some watermelon, lemon, um, strawberries, and I think that's all I put in there that day. Watermelon, lemon, and strawberry, and it came out tasting like some Starburst or a
Okay,
Double Star.
come on with a little Starburst
That
juice.
tastes
I
that
see
tastes good.
that.
Yeah, I've
I like
started
it.
making my own juice now.
Okay. I got you. I got you. And I like it. Juicing is definitely a vibe. It helped me feel so much better. So like after getting the stage 4 endometriosis diagnosis, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, facial hair, irregular periods. Sometimes I just wouldn't even have a period. I think the longest I went was like 3 months without a period before, and didn't ever think it was like an issue, like there was something wrong, because people would always say, oh well, maybe you were just stressed, or maybe it was something you were eating, you just missed your period. That is not normal, and I like to make sure I tell people when there are things that are not normal that we typically think is just normal because it's normally what's happening in our body, we need to know that something's not right, and we need to do some investigating to figuring out what it is, and then advocating based on your investigation, your finding, to get the treatment that you need, or pursue the different recipes and functional foods to help you get relief in what it is that you're doing.
I said
But it was the juicing for me.
because these doctors will really try you like you're stupid. Like even when I got diagnosed, I didn't even get an official diagnosis for my COVID. I went in and they didn't even do a COVID test. They only did a flu test. They said the flu
Mhm.
test came back negative. And I was like, okay, so what's going on? Oh, well, it must be underlying in your system. So don't you think you would have found something that says I got the flu in my system if it's lying in my system? I don't understand what you're saying.
And it's weird because I know the body is complex. But if you don't know your body and know that something is going wrong, it's hard to put your trust in your body in somebody else's hands to better help you know what's going on. And so I'm glad you hit on that, because they don't always know. Which means you shouldn't always be so dependent on what it is that they say in regards to what's happening to you and what's going on with you. But it was something that you said, and I know, oh, we were talking about the juicing. The juicing made my periods regulated. It allowed me to reduce the pain that I was having. And because some of the fruit that I was using, even though some of the, I think it's the insoluble fiber that comes out with the juice, the juicing, you still have the water soluble fiber. Like there's other fiber that's still within the juicing. But it's it just helped me feel so much better. And when you realize that inflammation is the root cause of so many chronic conditions, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, you start realizing there's things I could be doing a little different to feel better myself versus always just saying, I'm in so much pain. Nobody can help me. I am so depressed. Oh my gosh, what's going on? This disease is worse. It's bad. It's horrible. It is. Like nobody's gonna take that away from you. It totally is. But there are some things that you can do to help you start to feel a little bit better. And my goal is, and I hope it's Dominique's goal too, is to tell you never to give up.
Yeah.
Because when you give up, you'll never get there. You'll never get to finding what is providing you with some relief. You might not get 100% relief because there's no cure for endometriosis. But the more you keep trying and exploring different things and figuring out your body and loving the decisions that you're making for your body, that why has to be strong. And if
Yeah.
you don't have a strong why, you're never going to get to what it is that you need to get the relief that you need to
And I
get.
mean, the relief should be the why, period. If you, period. Like I tell people all the time, like, Addicts, I look at them in a different light now, because when you feel that relief that comes when you take that pill, you're not addicted to the pill. You want that relief. And until I realized that the Percocets is making me feel worse, I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing on earth. I no pain, what? No. And it's not the way to go. And advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, the healthcare system does not care about women.
Mm,
The healthcare system does not advocate for women. The healthcare system damn sure does not care about black women.
mm.
And endometriosis is not even considered a disability. So no one is coming to help you. Help yourself.
I like the help yourself. That stood out the most to me within that, Dominique, is to help yourself, um, because there's so much power in you when you know that you have the power. And so that's another reason why the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast even exists. You see the word power 2 times in the name of the podcast itself, in the word empowered. And so the goal is for you to feel powerful in being intentional with your own healing journey. And the goal is to also allow you to see other people like Dominiece with endometriosis, other people that come on the platforms with fibroids. And I think you have fibroids as well, Dominiece.
I had fibroid and cyst.
Mm.
Hmm.
And you found relief for the fibroids, the cysts, and the endometriosis, and changing your lifestyle, exercising, walking on that treadmill, doing the elliptical,
Hmm.
lifting weights. Even when you were somewhat painful, you still moved through the pain because you
Hmm.
know you were moving to something bigger, and that was to be able to live a more vibrant life and reduce the pain that you were already experiencing. Yeah.
If I could move for somebody else's kids, I could move for my friends, I can move for my job, then I could move to relieve myself of some pain.
Come on, Dominique. I can move for somebody else's kids. I can move for my job. I can move for other people. I can move for me. Come on. Now that's a word right there. All right. So she found that healing in movement. Then she found that relief with changing the way she was eating. But most importantly, Dominique first realized that her environment mattered. She realized that how she managed stress mattered. She realized how much she mattered and that she wasn't going to allow anybody to belittle the pain she was going through and the things that she needed for herself. And so it's that mindset, that mindful eating, that movement that she was able to get a more vibrant life. And you see her still saying, and I'm trying to limit the dairy. The dairy isn't all the way gone. And we know that dairy causes inflammation. We know that there's issues that relate to the dairy when it comes to fibroids, when it comes to endometriosis. She ain't say I'm all the way done with it. She says I'm limiting it to the best of my ability right now. Dominique, a year from now, might be done with the dairy. She might not. It might be one time out the whole year she had a dairy. She doesn't have to put herself in the box, but she's being intentional and she's aware of what the dairy is doing to her. What you going to say, Dominique?
There's ways that you can still eat your dairy by limiting it. And then I also, whenever I cook my meals, make sure I add some turmeric to help with my inflammation. And I also I make this inflammation drink with lemon, ginger, and a little bit of turmeric and black pepper. And that lemon drink helps. That lemon drink definitely helps.
You got the cocktails over here. So how do you feel? How important do you think it is to take a holistic approach when managing chronic conditions like endometriosis and fibroids, Dominique?
Extremely important, because like you said, pretty much all issues with your body starts with your gut. You
Mm-hmm.
have two brains in your body, this one and your gut. And this one lets this one know when something is wrong. Listen to your gut and protect it.
And your gut is totally different from the thing that says, I want cake, I want mac and cheese, I want That's a totally different gut. Make sure you know what the mind is telling you, what the body is used to craving, and the body cues that goes into like the whole mindful eating, understanding, being aware of your hunger cues, true hunger cues. Are you really hungry, or you just need something to drink? And then it's, if you're craving something salty, if you're craving something sweet, it could be your body telling you you're lacking something in regards to some form of nutrients, which is why you think you need to go get the cookies. You think you might need to go get the cake. You think you might need to go eat this processed cereal, or you think you need to go eat some popcorn and add the salt to it. There's this different approach to really figuring out, okay, my body is craving this. What is really going on with my body, and what do I need to really feed my body or my mind in regards to what I'm feeling right now? And that takes an emotional intelligence and mature approach to how you're making decisions for you. And again, that goes back to what Dominique said. It's your why. You don't want to be in pain. So why not do something different? Why not choose something that's not going to cause you pain? And you won't know until you start to explore. And it's a journey. You're not going to figure that out overnight. You might try the oyster mushroom tacos that Dominique said and don't like it. That's
Hey,
fine.
some
Find
things is
something else.
good. If you don't like it, something wrong with your taste buds. Those things are good.
Maybe they didn't make it the way Dominique made it. Maybe that's what it was. It was lacking in the seasoning, because we said it's all about in the seasoning, the
Yes.
spices, the herbs, and how you flavor things. But don't stop when you find something that you don't like. Keep going, keep exploring, because you're worth it. Your why is bigger than a bad experience with what food or one food group, or one bad drink or juice that you tried that was just really nasty. So throw the whole juicing concept away. No, feed your body what it needs and what it deserves, because you deserve it. So Dominique, looking back on your journey, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned about taking control of your health and advocating for yourself in the face of like chronic illness and the chronic conditions?
Um, the doctor's word isn't the final say so. It's not the end and be all. It's not. Do your own research. Do your own research for yourself. Everything that I've had, I've diagnosed myself with before I even went to the doctor. So just do your research yourself and pay attention to your diet and your environment. Your diet and your environment. When I left my abusive mother's home,
Mm.
my pain, it came maybe once a month. When it was coming every day, I was literally holding burning my stomach because I was filling a water bottle with boiling hot water and holding it on my stomach, trying to get relief. I'm over here folded up, crying in the bed. My boyfriend buying me heating pads and all types of stuff, just trying to get me some relief, and nothing coming. And I move out her house, and it's good. It's good. So your environment, it can sometimes pay you. If you have a good diet and you're still suffering really badly, pay attention to the environment and your stressors that you're dealing with.
I love that, y'all. So Dominique said, doctors don't have the final word. You got it. Two, do your own research, because it's all about you. But you have to be aware of yourself to be able to take that information that you're receiving and figure out how you want to apply it for you. Because just because you learning a whole bunch of things doesn't mean you know how to apply it the way it's meant to be applied, and if it's really going to work for you. So you got to do the research, and then you got to explore and experiment with it to see how your body resonates with it. And three, pay attention to your diet and your environment. So it was something that you said that I wanted to touch on based on what you were just saying. When you left your mom's house, you went from daily pain, every single day experiencing this chronic pain, to now only experiencing the pain once a month. So I want to get into this concept of trauma. How do you believe trauma plays a part in your health and what you're experiencing? But before you get into that, because that's the question, y'all, she just talked about the hot water bottle. In the description of this video, I got a link to the Fort Vibration shop. Y'all, I got hot water bottles. I got a pelvic menstrual uterine belt that massages your pelvic area and gives you that heat. She talked about heat therapy to help reduce the pain, so you're not trying to go to medicine. There's other natural ways that you can find relief to try to calm those muscles, to deep breathe, a weighted blanket. Click the link in the description of this video and go check out those products that could benefit you and help you out with reducing the pain that you experience. Hit us with the trauma, Dominiece.
Um, I grew up with an abusive parent, so there's a lot of trauma there. But it can play a huge part in your pain, especially since women, we hold trauma right in our uterus. We hold it all. Everything gets held in our womb, and that's where the endometriosis is coming from, and that's what's hurting every day. And I got away from my mother, and I felt that relief, and I knew. I've been no contact with her since October of last year. Nope, nobody's worth the pain. You gotta go.
That was another bar you just hit. Nobody is worth the pain, whether it's a relative, a friend, somebody that you found a lot of value in. At the end of the day, nobody is worth your own pain. When you are choosing to stay in contact and be accessible to things that are causing you pain, you are causing your pain. And you can't put that on anybody else because it's your choice, and it's your decision. So I love the fact that you said that nobody is worth your pain because
And
it's your pain to experience. They can't feel it. They can't feel it anyway.
mhm.
And so it's about healthy boundary setting. And that's what I get from it, Dominiece, from you is healthy boundary setting. You can love your mother from afar. And you hope that she is good and well. But at the end of the day, you have to be good and well. And that's the decision you had to make for you to do what it is that you need to do. And you said it, that endometriosis, a lot of times it starts in that womb area. But endometriosis is a full body disease. It can go up to your lungs, it can go to your brain, it can travel. So the more you allow this thing to fester and continue to grow, and you don't get a handle on it because you're not willing to make different decisions when it comes to your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, how you care for yourself, how you process your trauma, how you manage your distress, what you're eating, and not being intentional with moving, you're allowing that energy to stay stagnant in your body because you're not allowing it to move and get out of you and get through you, so it can get off of you. And so I thank you, Dominiece, for that.
And going back to depending on yourself, I had a whole mother that was a nurse, a registered nurse, and a nurse practitioner that did not advocate for me. So advocate for yourself.
Now that's powerful right there. Me and you both have moms that are registered nurses, and I didn't even realize that. And for me, it was my mom didn't know about those types of things and things she just thought was normal because I don't think they are real educated medically on a lot of certain like things that we have going on with endometriosis and PCOS. But just taking it back to sixth grade, like after getting diagnosed, it was like, well, Ma, you remember when I came home from school and I couldn't go to school the next day? I didn't realize my period was on and I was throwing up thinking it was the lasagna from the country kitchen line that made me sick, like it was food poisoning. Nobody else was sick. That was already a hormonal thing happening with my period, throwing up, not knowing that it had anything to do with my period.
But
Bowel movements, hemorrhoids running your family. No, it wasn't even the hemorrhoids. It was the endo bowel that was causing different things. So it's just like, you never really know. Go ahead, Dominiece.
but even as an adult, when she had went ahead and became a nurse practitioner, I had started working for her. And it was one day my endometriosis was acting up. You are very aware. I've had
Since
endometriosis.
third grade.
I've had 2 surgeries. You know, I'm sitting there in pain. My stomach is messed up. I literally get up to go run and throw up. And she's literally standing right there, like, go, move, everybody move out of our way so she can go outside. I come back and I sit down, and you still trying to ask me about work and then get mad when you see the attitude on my face. And my aunt was sitting there like I felt so bad for her because she just went and threw up. You could see she's in pain. Why are you bothering her? Like, don't expect anybody to take it easy on you. Don't expect anybody to care. You have to care.
You got to be the first person to show other people how to treat you, how to respect you, and how you want to be cared for. And I feel you so heartedly, Dominiece, when you talk about how you handle yourself, and then how you tell other people how you want to be handled. And when they're not with that, then this is why you get where you are. You know, this is the distance that you get because you're unable to do that. So, Dominique, I'm gonna ask you this question. We'll get into our final two questions. What empowering message would you like for the listeners to hear whenever they hear this, whether they hear it a month from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, because that's just the power of podcasts and us being able to have this heart to heart conversation and share our journeys of strength with endometriosis. What's the importance of being proactive in your own health, especially with dealing with complex conditions? Like, what message do you want to leave with them today to be empowered?
Well, my message to generally everyone is take control of your own health, because just because you have the diagnosis does not mean that you can't get rid of the diagnosis. Just because the doctor say you can't get rid of it, it does not mean you can't get rid of it. They say you can't get rid of diabetes. Yes, you can. I've seen it. I- um, and my message to specifically my community, because while I know endometriosis is not only a Black woman thing, I care about my community the most first. Diet, 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 and environment. These people, systematic racism sets us up to eat unhealthy. What do you find on every corner in our community? A chicken spot and a liquor store. And those two things can do detrimental things to your womb. Pay attention and don't eat what they said. Don't eat how they taught you to eat. Relearn, unlearn, and relearn.
I love it. Unlearn and relearn. Unlearn and relearn. Alcohol, chicken spots, the environment that we're in, and the things we choose to eat, and how we view the things that we're choosing to eat matters. Because if you say, oh, well, I so and so lived 80 something years and they ate this way, this, that, and the fourth, but how much of those years were they vibrant in health versus just living and just going through life? And so I love that. Unlearn and relearn. Pay attention to your environment and your diet, and how you value it, how you see it, your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs around that was beautiful. I love that. And no one cares about you more than you should care about you. And if that is where you're struggling right now, start there. Start there before you start to learn and unlearn, before you start to change your diet, before you start changing your environment. Start with you first.
I would
Um,
advise you to get the surgery so you can have a clear mind with no pain, and then go to therapy. Learn how to care about yourself, and then take charge of your health.
Come through therapy. Go through therapy so you can address the past experiences, and then get you a life coach or a healthy habits and lifestyle coach like Giovanni to help you embrace the future, plan for success, and navigate the day to day moving forward vibrantly. All right, Dominique, that was beautiful, man. Last two questions. And you kind of hit on it a little bit earlier, but give some advice to the girl dads, the male role models, father figures, partners and spouses of those with endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, or not even have that diagnosis, but have all the symptoms and experiences. What could they do? Give them some tips, some strategies, and ways that they can be supportive, how they could be a part of this movement.
Be attentive and be patient. Do research. Don't expect me to just tell you how it feels, because me describing it to you is not going to make you feel what I feel. Do your own research. Look up, hey, you know that the period has now been, the cramp has been rated as the same pain level as a heart attack.
Mm.
I'm going to need you to realize that I'm experiencing that pain every day. Be attentive, be vigilant. I shouldn't have to, don't make me ask for help. Just give it. Just be attentive and do your research. Like, when that man bought me that heating pad and the massager without me having to ask, boy, did you just say you want to marry me? Is that what you just said?
It hits differently though, doesn't it?
Well,
Like it.
going from a man, when I stayed in that house, I had to seal the windows every winter to, keep down the power bill. And I was sitting there taping the windows, crying in pain. He came downstairs, asked me if I was okay. No, I'm crying in pain. He didn't, he was, oh. and went upstairs and played the game. You didn't help me. You didn't say go sit down. You didn't say nothing. This man has told me, hey, don't go to work. You clearly can't go to work, so don't go to work. Here's a heating pad. Here's this. What do you need? Getting an attentive partner is important. Attentive parents are important. Attentive friends are important. And people that actually care about your pain are important, because even with friends, when you can't go out when they want you to, you don't need friends that are going to punish you for that. You need
or make
friends
you
that
feel
be
bad.
yeah, need people that's going to
Mhm.
be understanding. Like coming around my family, I hate it. You never come around because I'm always in pain. I'm tired. You always tired. You always sleep because I'm in pain. I don't choose this lifestyle.
I love that, Dominique. Thank you. Be attentive.
Hmm.
Be attentive. Do your own research, and you'll automatically understand and figure out how to help and how to show up without having to ask. But even if you have to ask and someone tells you what's going on, be willing to be there and do it. And I love that you said attentive parents matter too, because it shouldn't be I'm sick, I'm at school, I'm throwing up. Okay, well, just stay there. Like that's not love, that's not care, that's not being attention. It's paying attention, and then you're not even helping figure out what the cause is. And that's a big thing for me, Dominique, because as a teacher, um, when kids are sick or throwing up, you want to know what could possibly trigger it. And I always go with what did you eat? You know, what did you have to eat? What did you eat last night? Is your period on? Trying to, navigate through some of these things. But then you don't know if it's bullying. You don't know if something traumatic happened to them at school and they're feeling the way they're feeling. And you're just keeping them in that environment, not trying to navigate and understand. Like that's a problem.
And you just made me think of something I want to emphasize to the women with children, or anybody with children, young girls. Change their diets now. The ramen noodles, that processed food, the frozen food, the canned food, the ravioli, all of that can lead to having endometriosis later on in life. Change the diet now.
And I'm glad you said it, Dominique, because I feel like there's so many people that are hesitant to doing that because they're like, well, I ate that when I was a child. Well,
Mm.
I did this. It's as if they feel as though there's time before someone's actually doing before a health issue may rise. And the thing about it is once they get that first period, you said before you even had your first period, you were already experiencing pain. If you know that you could be creating good, delicious food experiences for your child, rooting in things that's going to help them, help their uterus, help their womb, help their mindset, help their emotional health, so where they're not feeling depressed. Sometimes people eat meat and feel depressed because they're consuming an animal whose hormones and maybe they were in a state of distress. It's just like being able to cultivate that culture for them at a young age of healing, and they don't even know, but it's just good for them. That to me is the best way to be a parent, because you're already mindful. If you care about them getting into the wrong group of friends or getting into gangs or getting distracted by other things, care just enough about what they're putting inside of their body.
You should
And
be
just
letting them drink a big glass of Kool-Aid filled with sugar and food dye that's gonna mess up their mental and their functions later on in life.
or Takis that clearly have ingredients in it that could, definitely have caused a lot of health concerns just because they like Takis
Mhm.
and they want to eat
And
Takis. So
then,
it's
especially if you have a child that's been diagnosed with ADHD or autism or anything like that, that red people love to just think that nothing can make autism worse or nothing can cause autism. And it makes me so angry because it's usually the parents of autistic children. And I'm sorry, but facts are facts. And a lot of times, something causes something. There was a cause. This Tylenol that they say is safe during pregnancy. No, it can lead to autism in children. This the food that you eat, the stress that you have, all of that you experience during pregnancy can lead to autism in children. And then when you get a child with the autism ADHD and you're just feeding them things just because that's what they'll eat, instead of just working with them, having the patient and getting them to eat the foods that are best for them, which will make your life easier in the long run, because those red food dyes and that sugar is doing nothing but turning all of that up to a 10 at all times.
And I agree with you when it comes to like ADHD, food playing a role. And because the autism spectrum is so large and you don't really know a lot of the different causes of it, it goes
Mhm.
right back to what you said earlier. Do your research. Do your research specifically on what's going on with that autistic child, with that autistic adult family member, and see what ways, knowing the causes and things that's happening, what ways can food play a role in that? What ways could a different types of movement play a role in their condition or improving their day-to-day life? And because it's so widely of a spectrum, that still matters, because like you
Mhm.
said, ingredients in food plays a part, and we already know what it looks like in regards to the food source in the US. It's a lot that you can barely dip and dodge. So just taking a little bit more intentional approach on what you're consuming could still help more than just consuming any and everything just because that's what
Mhm.
somebody may want. It might not be what they need.
Mhm.
And giving them what they need is more of a sign of love than just
Yeah, and
allowing them to do
I
whatever.
know with autistic children it's not easy. My brother's autistic, my nephew's autistic, I have ADHD. I know when it comes to neurodivergence, food isn't easy, but you have to have the patience.
And patience is key when you're
Mhm.
dealing with special population people, because they do matter, and people do love and care about them. But the patience is key, and then giving yourself patience,
Mhm.
to navigate figuring out what it is that would be best for
I
them.
say
So yeah,
just yesterday, my stomach is like, girl, feed me. All you had was two pieces of toast, but my brain, my ADHD was like, nah, we don't want to eat. We're not eating. So I just had to force myself to. I had to force myself to eat. I had to sit there for an hour in front of a bowl of spaghetti until I finished it, because I had to have patience with myself.
good job. Thank you for sharing that relatable example. And that could be a thing too, Dominique, and I'm glad you said that. Not wanting to eat, but knowing you need to eat and
Mhm.
figuring out how do I sit here and make sure I at least consume something that's going to give me the nutrients that I need in order to keep moving forward. And you don't want to go into a state of, just because I don't feel like eating, I'm not going to eat, because
Mhm.
your body needs the food. They need the nutrients. And I'm not saying that you need to eat all day every day, of course, because there are times where you could fast and find it
Yeah.
beneficial, because if you can't stop doing something, then you might have an addiction problem. And the body does need that rest, that reset, which is when you're typically sleeping. But I like that you said that. I didn't want to eat. And I sat in front of my bowl of spaghetti and I figured out how to navigate to getting to the bottom of that bowl of spaghetti to make sure I get to eating, even though my mind said, I ain't hungry. I don't want to eat. I know I needed to eat. And that was you showing up for you another time, because you know your why and what it is that's best for you. And so I thank you for just being transparent with that, because some people struggle with eating, and not a lot of people talk about that too. So yeah, thank you. All right, last question: if you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
Hmm. Any historical figure.
Any.
Hmm. I honestly would want to speak to the person. I forgot his name. I've just heard it. I've heard of him. The person that pretty much began the notion of Black people don't feel pain. I would want to speak to him and figure out how did you come to this thought process? How did you come to this? Why did you operate on Black women with no anesthesia? Why did you think we couldn't feel pain? Why did you think the screams were fake? Like why? Just how, because that affects us a lot to this day, especially even in childbirth. They don't listen to us because they're still, a lot of people still believe that notion of Black people feel painless, and it's and it's not true. A white person can walk in there and get, hey, here's some perks. Go ahead. I go in there, I'm in visible pain. I can't sleep. I have anxiety and all this on my record. And oh, I can't give you this until your doctor says so. Are you serious right now? I'm sorry, but that person looks like an addict. So I would honestly, I would want to speak to him because I feel like, that is one of the main things that really affects us to this day in our healthcare system.
I agree. I think it was James Marion Sims. It was, I think that's who might have been the father of modern gynecologists who
Mhm.
was operating on African American women, slaves. And I think that, and I remember Lauren, founder of Endo Black, a nonprofit organization advocating for those women of color with endometriosis. And she talked about that at her gala in October of 2023. And it to me, it was just like, we have all of these issues in the healthcare system with racism. And yes, there have been advancements. Yes, we've been able to find people that look like us, that when we are there, they're able to take us seriously, hear us, care about us, and help push us through. It's not enough of them. And it's not enough of them in order for us to feel like we could trust the healthcare system with any and everything. But even again, it's like what we said at the beginning of this episode. We take the information we can get from the healthcare system, we do our own research, and we figure out what aligns best for us to take that next step, because you navigate your healing, nobody else does. And I am grateful that I was able to have a good healthcare system experience, because my nurse practitioner looked like me. She was my sorority sister. And then the doctor that was over her, my primary care physician, was also my sorority sister, that looked like me. And they cared about me as a person before trying to figure out, like, why am I throwing up? Where's this pain coming from? It's stress the first time it happened. The second, we need imaging. Go to the ER. Let's get some imaging. Tell them what it is that you need. Now we see this large cyst on my ovary, on my right ovary. And it's like, okay, clearly something was going on. Now let's go to the OBGYN. No, I don't want the birth control. Let's make sure, if you think this is endometriosis, let's get ready for the surgery. Let's figure that out. Now that surgeon is your husband, you know what I mean? And he's the specialist. And it's like, okay, what you got? And some of the stuff he said I wasn't in line with when it comes to like changing the diet.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to then have an OBGYN sorority sister that looks like me who worked with him made me trust being able to lay on his operating bed and get the things done. And so when you talk about the racism in the healthcare system, you talk about the past experiences of African Americans trying to get help and getting healing from there. It took a lot of trust for me, but it came because I was able to validate all the people that are working through, because they knew me, cared about me, and I was able to, go through that with love. And that happened within a span to 7 to 9 months. And I got my diagnosis. You were experiencing this pain since third grade, and you didn't hear anything or get anything until you were about in your 20s. That's years, Dominiece. Like, usually it could take 10 to 20 years for someone to get a diagnosis and be taken serious. And that's a problem. And because that's a problem, that's why we have this safe space of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast to talk about the things that were successful, who helped us, who didn't help us, what signs and symptoms it looked like, how to advocate for yourself, and then where we found healing within ourselves, what was in our control that nobody had to prescribe but us, for us, and that's a beautiful thing. And so I just appreciate you for coming, being transparent, sharing your journey of strength with endometriosis, with fibroids, with cysts, but most importantly, for just loving you and never giving up on how you wanted to love yourself, even when other people weren't loving you, that you expected to love because you love them. And so thank you for loving you, Dominiece. Thank you for showing up today and being the vessel that you are, and having this way of leaving your legacy by just owning your story and telling it. Y'all, that's Dominiece Cooley sharing her journey of strength on the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. If you got any absolute value from this episode, please make sure you share it with somebody that you love. Any experiences that you heard us talk about, signs, symptoms, stress, food, even if it was the oyster mushroom tacos. Like, send this YouTube video to someone else. Send this podcast episode if you're listening on your favorite podcast distribution platform. But most importantly, give us a rating and drop in the comments one thing you took away from this episode. And hopefully that whatever you took away from this episode, you find a way to empower yourself to do something, to move yourself forward, to move your healing forward, to move your life forward, because you deserve it. So make sure you let us know in the comments. We'll be checking out what you took away from our conversation today, our vibes for today. And if you're looking for a healthy habits and lifestyle coach, or you're looking for a community of people, interact with the links in the description of this video. But most importantly, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for vibing with us.